Señoritas y señores, bienvenidos a video número 1. Felicidades, congratulations, you found video number 1 if you are in Spanish 3 honors. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, before we move on with anything else, I gotta let you know that you need to make sure that you have a YouTube account in order for you to sign in and leave a comment on this page. Because if you do not leave a comment, then that means I have no proof whether or not you got here or not. So you can tell me all you want in class that you saw the video, but if I don't see a comment from you in the comment section below, then you don't get the homework points. So please don't let that happen to you. Please be sure that you get a YouTube account and sign in. Leave a comment. You'll see the magic word. You'll see what you need to comment on the comment section below, and that's it. Okay, so it should be pretty easy, so get on it, por favor. Alright, so this video number 1, is going to cover a few review things that hopefully were learned in Spanish too, but just in case if they weren't, then it's up to me to try to catch you up to speed. Alright, so we've got a few things to talk about. First, in your Spanish book, we're going to start with page 3, where we're dealing with irregular verbs. Alright, verbos irregulares. So that's going to be one of the things we'll be covering in this video. The second thing we'll be covering in this video are stem changing verbs. Those are always difficult, so hopefully I can refresh your memory about that. The next thing that we'll be covering on page 7 in the book, reflexive verbs. Alright, those are when somebody does an action that reflects on him or herself. Also, we will be covering page 11 in the book, verbos que se conjugan con gustar. You know, verbs like gustar and encantar. Well, there's other verbs such as importar and interesar that follow the same rules as those, so we'll cover that as well. And then finally, adjetivos possessivos, possessive adjectives, adjectives that indicate if this something belongs to me or you or him or her, mine, yours, his, hers, ours, theirs, that type of thing in Español. And that's exactly what we're going to cover in this first video for the school year. So, por favor, clase, why don't you follow me to my computadora, and that way we can go to work. So, vengan, vamos, here we go. Muy bien, señoritas y señores, you are here with me at my computadora, and let's get started with trying to review what you need to know before we go into chapter 1 of your Spanish 3 honors book. This preliminary chapter before chapter 1 is called para empezar, and what that means in Spanish is to begin. Alright, so before we go into chapter 1, we have to revisit some grammar and grammar concepts and some vocabulary as well before we get into the bread and butter, the meat and potatoes of chapter 1. So the first thing on page 3 in your textbook that you should be able to remember or at least work your way through is irregular verbs, verbos irregulares. Alright, now these are all in the present tense, but what is difficult about these verbs is that they don't follow the same pattern as regular AR, ER, IR verbs in the present tense. These, between conocer and caer, that you see are some examples of irregular yo verbs that are only irregular in the yo form, but then all other forms are regular. So conozco, yo conozco, I know, is irregular, but then conoces is the tu form of that. That's regular, and everything else is regular. Conoce, conocemos, conocen. Alright, so watch out for those. Also, there are some verbs in Spanish that are irregular in all the persons of the present tense. So we went over ser and we went over estar in class, but then also watch out for verbs like ir, oír, decir, and tener. You can see them in page 3 in your book, and they are all very much irregular. Alright, so now if you're not able to remember this right away, once again, this is an interactive class, and I very much encourage you to please visit SpanishDict.com/conjugation, and I'll put all of the links and the websites in my comments section here in this video so that you can just click on it and go to these websites directly yourself. It'll help you out tremendously, okay? So the reason why I show you this is because suppose you're not really sure how to conjugate the verb
decir. Okay, let's go ahead and just type that in. Once again, this is Spanish dict.com/conjugation. So we type in decir, and then we hit the green button that says conjugate. And lo and behold, look at that. It tells you the translation or the definition to say or to tell. And then it also tells you some other very valuable information. It tells you, let's see here, the definition right there. Okay, conjugation is what it gives us right over here. And then I believe there's even some interactive media. Let's see. There it is. Check it out.
Decir. Decir. This verb means to tell. Say. For example, parece que dice la verdad. It seems that he is telling the truth. Decir.
That's not too shabby, right? They actually have real people speaking the word so that you can know what it means and how it sounds. All of this where it says gerund and participle, I'm going to explain a bit later on in the school year. Let's go ahead and focus on the conjugations. And once again, decir, to say or to tell, in the present tense is going to be in the very first category. It's indicative, and that's just a fancy word for saying that this is a fact that's happening right now. It's a factual event, okay? So present tense, go up and down the very first column. Yo digo, tú dices, usted, él, ella dice, nosotros decimos. We're going to skip the vosotros form in this class. We live in an area in the world that we don't really use it very often. But if you find yourself in a place like Spain, for example, just know that vosotros means the same thing as ustedes, all of you, you all, or y'all, okay? Ustedes, ellos, ellas dicen is the last conjugation. Anytime you see the letters in red, that means that those are irregular conjugations. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that's all you have to do. Type in the word, hit the green button that says conjugate, and then it'll break it down for you in the very first column. Make sure you look in this category. It says indicative, okay? And then you say to yourself, this is the present tense. Yes, it is. Present tense. Okay, present tense. All right. Let's move on to the next thing that the book wants you to remember. Stem changing verbs. Not very easy, ladies and gentlemen. The main types of stem changing verbs that the book wants you to remember are the ones that where you have an E in the stem or the root of the word, and it changes to IE. Take a look at what happens here with perder. This information actually is on page 5 of your textbook, okay? So perder means to lose. But when you conjugate it in the present tense, in all forms, it changes, the root or the stem has an E, but it changes to an IE in all forms except for nosotros and vosotros. Let me explain. So let's conjugate perder, present tense. Yo pierdo. See the change right there? Tú pierdes. Usted, él, ella pierde. Nosotros perdemos. No change. Alright, so when you get to nosotros, leave the E in the stem alone. And then this we don't really deal with too much, but there's no change here. And then ustedes, ellos, ellas pierden. Other verbs like perder that the book wants you to know for this preliminary chapter are all of these below. Okay. Another type of stem changing verb that the book wants you to know is where you have an O in the root or the stem of the word, and then it changes to an UE. Same procedure or same mindset as perder. Poder means to be able to. Conjugated in the present tense, yo puedo, tú puedes, usted, él, ella puede, nosotros podemos, no change, ustedes, ellos, ellas pueden. Okay, other verbs like poder are all of these below on page 5. And then the last type of stem changing verb the book wants you to know, pedir, where the E in the stem changes to an I. Pedir, by the way, means to ask for. Yo pido, tú pides, usted, él, ella pide, nosotros pedimos, ustedes, ellos, ellas piden. All right. Jumping back online, in the SpanishDict.com website, there is also a section all about stem changing verbs, and it even allows for you to take a practice quiz. Not a bad deal. All right. So go to this page, and like I said, look for the links below, and you'll be able to take a look at all of these stem changing verbs. Most of the stem changing verbs in the Spanish language, and like I said, you can even take a practice quiz to kind of quiz yourself and see whether or not you're able to conjugate those stem changing verbs like I hope you are. All right. So go to this website, click on the link below, and it'll have you do a little bit of independent practice with the stem changing verbs. All right. And of course, how can I forget? If you have a stem changing verb that you're not sure how to conjugate, go back to this right over here, SpanishDict.com/conjugate. Let's try a stem changing verb, like maybe, let's see here. One of the tougher ones, I believe, is preferir, which means to prefer. All right. Hit the green button, conjugate. It'll tell us what it means. Some more information right over here. We're looking in the indicative category, first column, up and down. There it is. Yo prefiero, tú prefieres, usted, él, ella prefiere, nosotros preferimos, no change. Ustedes, ellos, ellas prefieren. All right, so those are stem changing verbs. Next in the libro, it wants you to know all about reflexive verbs. These are verbs that have two parts, a reflexive pronoun, and in the infinitive, they're always the se suffix, the se ending of these words. That's the pronoun. That's the reflexive pronoun. And of course the Spanish infinitive, the A-R-E-R-I-R infinitive. Once again, reflexive verbs are people doing something to or for themselves, and the procedure usually in the present tense is that you would take your A-R-E-R-I-R infinitive, like levantar, and you would have to conjugate levantar like you normally would in the present tense. It's an AR ending verb. So levanto, levantas, levanta, levantamos, levantan. But you're not done. Now you have to take the se ending. You're going to have to break it off the infinitive and put it in front and change it around depending on who's the one getting him or herself up. Me levanto, te levantas, se levanta, nos levantamos, se levantan. All right. And there are many, many, many other reflexive verbs that hopefully you can get yourself acquainted with. Here are some more examples in the book on page 7 in your Spanish 3 Honors book. But the cool thing about, once again, this website that is going to be our go-to website all school year long, I do believe that you can actually type in the reflexive verb with the se part. And when you do that, then there it is in the present tense, in the indicative category, the first column, me levanto, te levantas, and so on and so on. So try it, okay? Try it. Also, follow the link below for the tutorial on reflexive verbs and pronouns. I will put that link in the comment section below as well. And please read up on reflexive verbs on your own time. And once again, you can even take a practice quiz to find out whether or not you got that down, okay? All right, next, verbs like gustar. These are treated a little differently than your normal A-R-E-R-I-R regular verbs, or just any regular verbs that you want to conjugate in the Spanish language. But they have a little bit of a different rule. So please go back to the SpanishDict.com website, to this link right over here where it says verbs like gustar. The link is below. And you can see that it will give you another tutorial on when to use gustar, like me gusta or te gusta, or me gustan or te gustan, and other words like gustar as well. All right, take a practice quiz too. It'll help you out. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, possessive adjectives, los adjetivos posesivos in Spanish. All right, so you're going to have to make sure that you know this might get tough because you're going to have to take into consideration singular or plural when you're referring to something that belongs to someone or somebody, or some things or someone that belongs to somebody, if it's singular or plural, and also at times masculine or feminine, okay, depending on the number and gender of what you're trying to indicate possession with. You probably can predict what I'm about to tell you. Yes, there is a section on SpanishDict.com called possessive adjectives, all right, and it breaks it down for you. Okay, if you have a book, it's singular and masculine, mi libro. If you have many books, it's mis libros, all right. If you have a house, it's nuestra casa, because it's singular and feminine, nuestras casas, if it's plural and feminine, and so on and so on, all right. So please, once again, go to this website, follow the link below, take the practice quiz, and these are all the things that you're going to need to know in order for you to be ready to go into chapter 1 in the green book. All right, so we got to know how to walk before we know how to run, ladies and gentlemen. It's not too glamorous, it's not too exciting, but it's got to be done. There's no other way. We're going to practice this in class. Please, by all means, if you have any other questions in regard to what I showed you in this video, let me know in class. I'll be more than happy to help you. You can always send me an email as well, but it will most definitely be up to you to do the research, watch these instructional videos, follow the links below, and hopefully we can take it from there. All right, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it for video number 1, video número 1. Por favor, señoritas y señores, you have a fantastic day. I will see you in la clase de español, where we're going to practice this a bit more. And that's it. This is Señor Barbosa signing off, and I will see you next time. Adios.